December 1st, Everton was sitting 2 points off the relegation zone, 17th in the league table. A few months later and they've shot up the league fighting for a place in Europe. So can Carlo Ancelotti guide Everton to a top finish with a firm eye on next season? 4 wins in 15 Premier League games meant that Marco Silva got sacked on December 6th. After this, Duncan Ferguson came in as an interim manager, and this had a positive impact on the players. In his first game, a surprising 3-1 win against Chelsea with a good team performance, and this is where Everton started to turn their season around. Ancelotti was then appointed on December 21st, and he's been able to continue the improvement at Everton that Ferguson kick-started. The only losses in Ancelotti's time at Everton have been Man City and Arsenal in the league, and then Liverpool in the FA Cup. Teams that Everton should be getting points against, they are. No surprising results like under Silva, which ultimately is what has seen Everton rise. So, what is it about Everton that Ancelotti has been able to improve? Well, they've been a lot more positive going forward, and when we compare 2 games from Silva and Ancelotti, we can see the differences. Take Everton's 2-0 loss at home to Norwich in November and their recent 3-1 victory against Crystal Palace. First of all, we can see that Everton are a lot more successful in the wide areas, completing 12 from 21 attempted take-ons, something they struggled in doing versus Norwich, only completing 4 from 15 attempted, with all of them being on the right hand side of the pitch. And you can say that this is something that was quite worrying for Everton, seeing as Digne and Richarlison, the important attacking players on the left for Everton that game, clearly weren't having any success. In the Palace game, Everton had 10 chances created, 4 of them being big chances created. And the players creating those chances were the wide players. Digne, who had the joint most take-ons for Everton in that game, created the most chances too with 3. And second for most chances created that game was Sidibe on the right side, and he had to come on in the 26th minute due to a Walcott injury. So Digne, being the left back, is basically playing as a left midfielder, more touches than any other player that day, but also the player with the most touches for Everton throughout the whole season. And Sidibe coming on for Walcott meant that he wasn't at right back, Coleman was in that position. So this meant with Sidibe at right midfield, he had the freedom to attack. Using his preferred 4-4-2 formation, Carlo has been able to get good use out of the wide areas to positively affect the forwards leading the line. He's found players at the club that can score goals and cause problems in the striker partnership with Richarlison and Dominic Calvert Lewin. Firstly, Richarlison was a player who started every single Premier League game for Marco Silva, a player of importance when at the club. And that has continued with Carlo in charge. With the 7 games Richarlison has played under him, he's been able to score 4 goals and got 1 assist. And what he offers to Everton is versatility. This season he's been playing through the middle, but as well as that on the left and the right flank too. So what this means is that he has the qualities of a creator, a wide player, and not just a striker scoring goals. For example, 1.7 dribbles per game ranks him 2nd in the Everton team, 1.2 key passes per game ranks him 3rd, of course behind Digne and Sigurdsson. And a stat which might be quite surprising is he has an average of 2.2 tackles per game. In the strike partnership, Richarlison is the mobile one, covering more of the pitch and having more touches than Calvert Lewin. In the 3-2 away win versus Watford, Richarlison made 3 tackles playing as a striker, and also had 42 touches of the ball compared to Calvert Lewin's 28. And that's obviously the player to talk about next. Dominic Calvert Lewin has been a changed player under Carlo Ancelotti. Even before Ancelotti though, Duncan Ferguson in his time as interim manager backed Calvert Lewin and had the faith in him to start the game, which might be exactly what he needed, as in Duncan's first game versus Chelsea, the 3-1 win, Calvert Lewin scored 2 that day, the first time he'd ever scored 2 in one Premier League game. He's clocked up 1,153 minutes under Ancelotti and Ferguson combined, compared to 683 minutes under Marco Silva, proving that the belief is there for him to be an important player in the team. And what he's been able to get from Calvert Lewin is 8 goals and 1 assist in his first 10 Premier League games. With Richarlison being the mobile striker, Calvert Lewin is the poacher, being in the right positions to score in and around the box. In the Watford game we mentioned with Richarlison, Calvert Lewin had the most shots in the Everton team with 3, and all of them were in the box. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to score, but this proves that he is the man they're looking for to score the goals. Ancelotti recently talked about the partnership of the 2 strikers and said, "I think the characteristic of the 2 strikers suits playing 4-4-2. They are playing well together." He also backs up what we said about Richarlison, saying that he is used to moving from one side to the other, and I want him to be creative. I'm not going to give him really special instructions defensively, yes, but offensively, he is quite free. One other player that Ancelotti talked about in this interview was Mason Holgate and how he's impressed recently. Something that has stood out with Holgate is his ability to play long balls and passes between the lines. And this is great for Carlo, as he says, "I like teams that can play direct, and we have the capability to do that. You don't have to spend lots of time in possession, and when it's possible to to attack directly, you do. And the easiest way to score goals is via counter-attack. You have to be able to use the ball and be efficient in possession. Finishing in the qualifying spots for European football is for sure a possibility for Everton. 11th in the league, but only 3 points off 7th place. There is clearly a drive to push into these spots. Carlo says that Europe is really important and exciting, whether it's Champions League or Europa League, and I would like to be there when Everton play these type of games. And like you mentioned, if they are able to do this, then easy mistakes like the ones they conceded against Arsenal need to be cut out. For Arsenal's second goal, they were able to pass straight through the middle of Everton's midfield and defence, and this let Aubameyang run in space and finish a one-on-one opportunity. So over the next month or so, who do Everton face in the league? They've been able to get 1 point from their last 2 games, which were Arsenal and Man United, and next up is Chelsea, who haven't really been brilliant in recent weeks, so a game where Everton can show what they're here to do. Liverpool after that, we won't mention what could happen in that game. Norwich away, followed by Leicester at home, another team near the top who have been inconsistent lately. Tottenham will be a huge game for them. Come April, it may be a whole different situation, but this will always be a big one. And then Southampton away from home after that. So when you say that Everton have lost to City and Arsenal, drawn against Manchester United, they've got some other top teams of that standard to play, so the next 6 will be a test for Carlo, and will also give him an insight into where Everton stand in the league. There is improvement overall, so starting fresh next season with him in charge will make it completely different. By then he'll have had a pre-season and a lot more time to work his system into these players. But most of all, a transfer window to bring in players that he thinks can make them progress in the league. This is the biggest thing for me. He's been able to turn Everton around now and people are giving him praise. So give him a few months to start fresh in the league and it could be a different story for Carlo Ancelotti at Everton. Comment below, do you think Carlo Ancelotti can transform this Everton team into a top side, and I'll reply with my thoughts. Join the Discord fan zone, we've got a good football community growing over there, so come join us, link in description. I recommend that you don't miss out on future videos. Subscribe to Route 1 and like the video if you did enjoy.